What's going on, guys? This is Mikeinoid, and today we are going to be talking about Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Skylanders was one of my favorite game franchises growing up. Not only did I like the game itself, I was mainly into the toys and characters. It blew my mind when I could just put Spyro the Dragon onto the portal and he would show up in the game. Skylanders had 6 games in the main franchise that were released in 2011 through 2017. I plan on going into all the games in the future, but we have to start from the very beginning. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Activision revealed Spyro's Adventure back in February of 2011 at the American International Toy Fair. Known as the experience that merges the worlds of toys and video games, Spyro's Adventure would feature toys with brains, toys that would remember the player's shared experience. That way, if you were to use your toy in someone else's game, your toy would still have all of your experience from before. Each toy also had its own unique powers and abilities. It was encouraged that the player would swap out different figures during levels, making your own personal experiences. The Portal of Power was also introduced as a gateway between the figures in the real world and the game itself. 32 unique Skylanders were introduced to the game, including established characters, Cinder, and of course, Spyro the Dragon. Before Skylanders, a new Spyro game was being worked on called Spyro's Kingdom in 2009. It was going to feature a more mature tone and would even include blood, but Toys for Bob eventually decided that the idea didn't feel like Spyro. Instead, Spyro's Adventure was the end product. Spyro was reinvented to be a leader of a new cast of heroes known as Skylanders. Spyro himself was redesigned, which hardcore fans seem to dislike. It definitely makes him look less of a dragon in my opinion. But this was kind of my first time where I've played something with Spyro in it, so I was really not fazed by his redesign. But now that we have Spyro's Reignited trilogy out, I'm definitely in favor more of the classic Spyro. Now that we know a little bit of the making of the game, let's actually talk about it. The game was released on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii, and the 3DS. We are mainly going to focus primarily on the console versions for this video, but I will talk about the 3DS version in just a bit. The games came in what is known a starter pack. A Spyro's Adventure starter pack came with the game, the Portal of Power, 3 Skylanders, Spyro, Gilgrunt, and Trigger Happy, alongside their cards and stickers, and a poster that allows you to keep track of your Skylanders with those included stickers. So the game consists of 22 chapters out of the box. There are 4 additional levels that you can get from getting the adventure packs and putting each location onto the portal, but those 4 additional levels have nothing to do with the entire story of the game. The story is that Kaos blows up the core of light, which is a device that stops the spread of darkness, and then of course when blowing up the core of light, all the Skylanders are blown out of Skylands, and the story is that they come over to Earth as toys. So you're supposed to use the Skylanders and the Portal of Power to get the Skylander back to Skylands to acquire all of the components to rebuild the core of light and defeat Kaos. The story itself is pretty simple, easy to follow. If you want more lore of the world itself, you can find scrolls that get a little more into it and from the characters that you meet through the game. The characters themselves are unique and all have their own jokes and quirks. When I was a kid, I really hated Flynn in this game. He was freaking annoying and, you know, he's full of himself. But that's his character, and I got used to him in the games following Spyro's Adventure, and eventually I did appreciate his cocky personality. The game isn't even that long despite having 22 chapters. If you were to just go through each level without looking around, it can take 5 minutes max, especially when you use a Skylander that can move fast. But exploring each level and finding all the chests, soul gems, and elemental gates is what makes the levels a lot more fun. You'll probably have to do each level twice if you want to get all 3 stars, since your first playthrough will likely consist of looking for everything to collect, and your second one will be finishing the level as quickly as possible. Levels can consist of puzzles that you can push blocks, connect the crystals and laser beams to unlock a gate, and use a gremlin to unlock a padlock. There are actually a good cast of enemies in this game that you can fight that consists of the Chompies, zombies, trolls, pirates, robots. It's crazy. I think the enemies start to get more interesting in later games, but I never felt tired of fighting the enemies in this game, which is actually really good. So the ruins in the main hub is where you go in between levels. I actually like this hub a lot. It was great to see it grow and unlock new areas that tie into where you're going to go next. It also has a lot of room for you to just, mess around, try out your Skylanders moves, and even attack sheep. You can either play the story mode alone or with 2 players, which is pretty cool. The best co-op feature of the game is definitely the battle mode, where you and your friend can fight each other, play football, or collect 5 gems first. Skylanders have certain advantages over others, so depending on which game mode you play, it could be a lot of fun of just trying out which Skylander can best the other one. Speaking of the Skylanders, there are 37 you can choose to play as in the game. Having one Skylander of each element will give you access to each elemental gate that are in the game, which consists of a hat that you could put on your Skylander, and it can even consist of a chest or even a soul gem. So it's pretty cool that you can do all this customization with your Skylander. You can even nickname them if you want to, and you can even claim ownership of a Skylander, which will get you the Skylander recorded in your collection. Also, certain Skylanders can get you to places where others can't. For example, you can use either a water Skylander to swim through water, or just use one that can fly and cross over that way. Earth Skylanders are able to break certain rocks, and Fire Skylanders are just able to go through lava. When you add a Skylander to your game collection, it will unlock its Heroic Challenge. These are challenges that will give you buffs, and it can be taken on by any Skylander. These are actually a bit challenging to do. The ones I did for the video, I did at least 2 times each. God damn it! Your Skylanders can reach level 10 and can use money to get additional moves and upgrades. You can even choose a upgrade path of a particular move, so your Gill Grunt may be different from someone else's if the 2 of you were to choose different paths. Also, finding winged sapphires in a hub will reduce the cost of these upgrades, which is great. So Spyro Adventure figures all have the green bases at the bottom, but you can still use other Skylander figures from the later games. As long as the Skylander is in Spyro's Adventure, you can use other versions of that Skylander. So you can use Series 2, Series 3, and Series 4 figures, Light Core figures, Eon's Elite figures. You can even use color variants like Legendary Slam Bam. I mean, it will still show up as regular Slam Bam, however, but hey, you can still use it. Mini Skylanders can still be used, but they will be used as sidekicks. And then Skylanders from Superchargers can't be used, however, since their movesets have been completely changed. So you're not going to be able to use Deep Dive Gill Grunt in Spyro's Adventure. So I'm not going to cover all 37 Skylanders, but I will mention some of my favorites. Of course, we have to talk about Spyro. It's the man's game. And there are 3 you can choose from. There's the regular one, Dark Spyro, and Legendary Spyro. I mean, you really can't go wrong with either upgrade pass. You have the fireball attacks that have great range and coverage, and you can even charge it up for a gigantic fireball. Or you can go with the charge path that allows you to stun enemies and just bombard them with attacks. The flying is okay though. I liked using Cinder since she was able to move quickly thanks to her flying and shadow dash abilities. Flameslinger can do some real damage, and he's great for getting through levels fast thanks to his flame dash. I think air is the weakest element when it comes to the Skylander selection, but I really did like Warnado. This man does not stop spinning. Earth has some solid Skylanders, but my personal favorite is Dino-Rang, just because he was my first Skylander I got outside of the starter pack. The boomerangs are just a lot of fun to use, especially when you get to control them. Zap is still my favorite water Skylander. He moves fast and has great coverage when you combine his lightning breath and the sea slime. I'm kind of torn when it comes to the tech element. On one hand, I liked Drobot because of the ridiculous amount of lasers he can shoot, and then there's Boomer, who's just absolutely crazy and fun to use. But there's only one beast of a Skylander that just overpowers every single one of them, and that's Stealth Elf. Oh my god, she is a one-woman wrecking crew. When you pick the blade path, she gets 4 daggers that do crazy damage, plus she moves fast thanks to her acrobatic move, and she can regain health over time. Like, this woman is crazy. But while we're talking about Stealth Elf, let's talk about one of the methods to obtain her back in the day, which was purchasing the 3DS starter pack. The 3DS version came with her, Igniter, and Dark Spyro, which was exclusive to this pack only. The 3DS version is a completely different game from the console version with its own story, villain, and gameplay mechanics. The 3DS version is actually pretty great since you don't have to have the portal connected the whole time. You can just choose 2 Skylanders to have with you and you can take the game on the go. And since you can double jump in this game, it takes on a more platforming level design, and that I can actually appreciate. My only gripe of this game is that when you replay the levels, you have to do the version of the level that has the villain Hector chase you through the level and you have to complete it within a certain time limit. Like, come on man, I just wanted to explore the level without worrying about Big Head chasing me the whole time. But other than that, the 3DS version is pretty great. After revisiting the game years later, I definitely got hit with the nostalgia wave big time. As the very first game of the series, it's a really fun game. The graphics are really outdated, but the gameplay and its unique charm is what keeps the game alive. If you want to 100% complete the game, then you're going to need at least the 32 unique Skylanders and the adventure packs to be able to do so. But if you just want to beat the game and not worry about getting everything, then you should be good with a few Skylanders. Well, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know who your favorite Skylander from Spyros Adventure is down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and of course, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bruh, Stealth Elf is unstoppable. Kaos should have just retired when he had the chance.